I think Luke and Kristen's relationship may have become the biggest concern coming out of part 2 of the Valley reunion. Because between Luke admitting that he wanted to go to Watch What Happens Live without Kristen, Danny taking accountability for how he treated Nia, and Jesse and Michelle fighting over money again, there's a lot to unpack. Let's start with Jesse and Michelle. Andy asked Jesse about that $300,000 SBA loan Michelle brought up during the season. Jesse said everything Michelle told Lala about the loan was a lie, while Michelle insisted that Jesse received the $300,000 and put it into his personal account, while Jesse repeatedly accused Michelle of lying. Then we got into Jesse's other alleged money problems, including Michelle claiming that she'd been contacted after his card was declined for Isabella's ballet. But that's when Lacey jumped in, because she feels like there's been this insinuation that she is financially supporting Jesse.
You're also insinuating every single episode except for 2, because now I've watched them, that I'm paying for him. I would rather light myself on fire than pay for a man. It's just
Exactly.
Not my vibe.
Lacey said Jesse's never asked her for money and called the suggestion that she's bankrolling him completely misogynistic. Which I gotta say, I love Lacey. I love that she can read people down without raising her voice or getting so emotional. It's really refreshing. And apparently I'm not the only one who thought she handled herself pretty well. One viewer wrote, "Gotta be honest, I'm kinda obsessed with Lacey. She ate Lauren and Michelle in one swoop, never raised her voice once, and Michelle is clearly very bothered by her and Jesse being happy." But then we got to Kristen and Luke, and this is where things got uncomfortable. While they said their sex life has improved since filming, Kristen also talked about dealing with postpartum depression and postpartum rage. When Andy asked Luke whether he still would have proposed if they'd waited until after Kristen's pregnancy, he said this.
That's a hard thing to try to make up in my mind.
Now, he did say he wouldn't break up with Kristen, but when Andy asked if they were happy, Kristen seemed way more enthusiastic than Luke, which was really sad to see. Then Andy revealed that when Luke and Kristen were previously asked to appear on Watch What Happens Live, Luke apparently told producers he wanted to come without Kristen because he needed a break. Kristen claimed that Luke told her, quote, "I want to go to dinner and I want to enjoy New York, and I can't enjoy New York if you and Kaya are there." And believe me, viewers locked in on that. Queens of Bravo wrote, "Luke only wanting to go on Watch What Happens Live if it wasn't with Kristen and waiting until the reunion to give her an actual real apology absolutely broke my heart. This was a tough watch." Another viewer wrote, "The saddest part is that Kristen just wants to feel chosen by Luke, and he keeps making her feel like she has to earn it." And Bravo historian said, "Kristen is the kind of girl who holds her friends to incredibly high standards, but lets the man she's with get away with murder. We all know women like this, and it's really exhausting." Then we got Danny and Nia. Andy brought up those scenes where Danny snapped at Nia while she was trying to eat and take care of their baby, and Danny didn't really defend it, admitting that he was a complete nightmare. Kristen said seeing Danny speak to Nia that way was something she'd never seen from him before, and when she watched the drag pageant scene back, she said she was effing horrified. And Danny agreed, saying he was a monster and should have never spoken to his wife in that way. And surprisingly, Danny and Janet actually found some common ground too. Andy asked Danny whether experiencing so much backlash this season gave him more empathy for what Janet went through with viewers. And Danny said it did, apologizing to Janet for some of the social media posts he'd liked and reposted about her. Janet accepted his apology and said she wouldn't wish the darker side of online hate on anybody, which I still think it's insane that people feel so comfortable sending death threats or slurs to the people we watch on TV. Like, seriously, go touch some grass. And one of the other debates coming out of the reunion involved Jasmine. She was basically arguing that having children can explain why you're exhausted or overwhelmed, but shouldn't become the excuse for every bad behavior. But I think her delivery didn't land with a lot of viewers or the cast, although people were very divided online. One viewer said, "You don't need to be a parent to have Jasmine's opinion. She never said parenting isn't overwhelming. She's saying that parenting being overwhelming isn't an excuse for bad behavior." While another wrote, "Jasmine's rant about the kids was totally ridiculous. Even Andy disagreed with her. How can you say this in a room with all these parents?" And Jasmine actually clarified online afterward that she absolutely understands parenting is challenging, but her point was that she doesn't think it should constantly be used as the primary reason for someone's behavior. Janet even responded to her, telling her that she understood what Jasmine meant and said Jasmine has been supportive of them as parents. So I think that argument was probably a little more nuanced than it initially sounded on the reunion stage. Oh, but we're also still not done, because right before the episode ended, Brittany whispered loud enough for Andy to hear that Jesse needed to talk about what allegedly happened at Jasmine's wedding. And Jesse didn't seem very eager to spill, but that's also where the reunion left off, leaving the drama to be discussed in part 3, which airs next week. But after part 2, I'm curious where all of you land. Are you more concerned about Kristen and Luke after watching this reunion? And do you think Danny genuinely took accountability for his behavior this season? Or do you still understand why Janet isn't ready to move past everything? Let me know what you thought of part 2 in the comments.